Ever wondered what really goes on behind the scenes in Hollywood? From illicit love affairs to shocking betrayals, these 25 clandestine romances rock the entertainment industry. Buckle up. It's time to get scandalous. Lil Tashman and her relationships with Hollywood women. Lil Tashman wasn't just a Hollywood starlet. She had a secret life that shocked even the boldest in Tinseltown. Vaudeville star and actress Lil Tashman was the biggest dyke Tinseltown had ever seen, according to writer William J. Mann's Behind the Screen: How Gays and Lesbians Shaped Hollywood. Before she married longtime friend and closeted gay actor Edmund Lowe, despite having open affairs with other women, including Greta Garbo. The duo's wild parties, A-list orgies, and fast-paced lifestyle were the talk of the town.
The dear thing, she's waiting up for me. I'm afraid we can't. Good night.
Patrick Swayze and Kirstie Alley. Patrick Swayze's love life seemed perfect, but there was another woman who claimed to hold his heart during his marriage. Patrick Swayze was married to the love of his life, Lisa Niemi, for 34 years. Childhood sweethearts, the two met during their teens and were together until the Dirty Dancing star's tragic death in 2009. Though Niemi is part of Swayze's enduring legacy as his longest partner, a second woman came forward claiming her significance in his life. Actor Kirstie Alley believed she had shared a profound emotional connection with the late dancer around the time the two co-starred in the 1985 television miniseries North and South. During a 2012 appearance on Entertainment Tonight, she revealed that she and Swayze fell in love despite both of them being married to other people at the time, via Us Weekly. Though the two apparently didn't romantically engage, I think what we did was worse, because I think when you fall in love with someone when you're married, you jeopardize your own marriage and their marriage. She thought he was the most handsome, sexy, kind person she'd ever met, and each day on the set, she began to fall more and more in love, a source said about Alley's strong feelings for Swayze. Long after Swayze's death, she consistently watched the miniseries they had shot together. Best known for her television work in sitcoms Cheers and Veronica's Closet, Alley died in 2022, also from cancer, like Swayze.
He's sort of a player. I sort of like that now. I think that I needed a stepping stone. I needed an affair.
Michelle Fifer and John Malkovich. Michelle Fifer and John Malkovich shared more than just screen time. Their on-set chemistry quickly turned into something dangerous. Before the film Dangerous Liaisons, John Malkovich has dedicated to the theater stage. It was that project that earned him his first major recognition as a film actor, and one which may have forever typecast him as the conniving villain. During the shooting of that film, however, there were some parallels going on behind the scenes. While Malkovich's character was trying to seduce Michelle Pfeiffer's character, the two actors began an affair that would cause the end of Malkovich's marriage to Glenn Headley. After their split, Headley apparently called Malkovich the root of all evil. Although Malkovich and Pfeiffer's affair ended shortly after it started, it was a miracle it even occurred, according to Malkovich. It's hard to believe Michelle Pfeiffer ever said hello to me, the Con Air star later told Rolling Stone. Not that she's not memorable, God knows, but I sort of blocked it out. What I'm trying to say is when I think of the other person, I don't think of myself as involved with them. They're uncorrupted by me, as if they were never troubled by my existence.
Would you ever work together?
No.
Perfect. All right, great.
Marilyn Monroe and Bobby Kennedy. Marilyn Monroe had many rumored lovers, but her secret affair with Bobby Kennedy took scandal to a whole new level. If celebrity conspiracy theorists are to be believed, Marilyn Monroe was always in the middle of one affair or another. And while many of these tales are unsubstantiated, for example, there's no hard proof she was ever sleeping with Charlie Chaplin Jr., others, like her romance with Robert F. Kennedy, are much more of an open secret. At the time, both the Gentlemen Prefer Blondes actor and the Attorney General didn't seem to acknowledge the dalliance. RFK, of course, would have been looking out for the Kennedy legacy and trying to protect his marriage to Ethel Skakel Kennedy, which began in 1950. Monroe, meanwhile, likely would have wanted to avoid any press potentially damaging her reputation. Those in their inner circles, however, reportedly knew all about the affair. For example, In one letter that was found among Monroe's personal belongings, RFK's younger sister, Jean Kennedy Smith, wrote to her, "Understand that you and Bobby are the new item. We all think you should come with him when he comes back east, via the telegraph." Biographers for both parties have also claimed that the two were almost certainly sleeping with one another. One author, James Spada, told People, "It was pretty clear that Marilyn had had sexual relations with Bobby and Jack," also referencing her famous connection to President John F. Kennedy. In a 1983 BBC special, biographer Anthony Summers said Monroe's former housekeeper had told him the couple had definitely carried on an affair. While it's unclear if or when exactly the romance began or how the pair first met, it's believed it only ended with Monroe's passing in 1962.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Ted Danson and Whoopi Goldberg. When Ted Danson met Whoopi Goldberg, sparks flew in a way that Hollywood never saw coming. No one anticipated the chemistry between a newly single Whoopi Goldberg and a very married Ted Danson when they were both cast in Made in America. They kept the affair under wraps for a while, but were outed by a tabloid. Cassandra filed for divorce from Ted after 16 years and 2 children. At the time, it was a pretty expensive divorce, setting Ted back $30 million. Errol Flynn and Beverly Adlan. Errol Flynn had a taste for scandal, but nothing compared to his infamous relationship with a teenage co-star. Flynn had a penchant for drinking, drugs, and women. The Playboy actor made headlines after being accused of statutory rape. Betty Hansen and Peggy Satterley were underage and brought the case to trial, but Flynn was acquitted. The headlines from the incident followed him for much longer, however. Also in the tabloids were his close relationships with Hollywood women such as Lupe Velez, Marlene Dietrich, Dolores Del Rio, and Carol Lombard. Flynn's relationship with the 15-year-old Beverly Adlan, his co-star in Cuban Rebel Girls, while married, didn't hit the press until after the actor's death, when a tell-all biography was published by Adlan's mother in the 1960s.
We were planning to be married at the end of the year, as soon as he got us divorced.
Sean Connery and Lana Wood. Sean Connery's allure extended beyond his iconic Bond character, sparking a brief but memorable affair with a Bond girl herself. It's impossible to flash back to Diamonds Are Forever without conjuring up the image of a stunning enchantress introducing herself as Plenty O'Toole to James Bond at a casino. Lana Wood, the beauty in question, was more than just an on-screen Bond girl flanking Sean Connery. In a revelation made a year after Connery's death in 2020, Wood revealed that the pair had taken their sizzling chemistry off camera for a brief fling around the time they filmed their 1971 spy thriller. It was likely a passionate affair, since Wood recalled for Fox News that kissing wasn't way up there on the list of events that took place during their liaison. Even so, Express quoted her saying that with the knowledge of her covert romance with Connery, acting out intimate scenes with him was especially tough. She said, "I think anyone would be hard-pushed to resist Sean." Despite it all, the award-winning Connery didn't let matters of the heart overshadow his work, with Wood recalling his efficiency on set. Unfortunately, it wasn't a relationship built to last. Wood alleged that while Connery initiated the affair, it was she who called it off. She was dating music composer Leslie Bricusse at the time and, prizing her connection with him, thought it best to end things with Connery, who replied, "I understand completely." In hindsight, Wood acknowledged that it was embarrassing to think that she believed Connery took their fling seriously at all. Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rosolini. Ingrid Bergman's letter to Roberto Rosolini sparked a whirlwind romance that forever changed Hollywood. The love affair between Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rosolini began with a simple letter. "Dear Mr. Rosolini," she wrote via the Criterion Collection, "I saw your films, Open City and Paisan, and enjoyed them very much. If you need a Swedish actress who speaks English very well, who has not forgotten her German, who is not very understandable in French, and who in Italian knows only ti amo, I'm ready to come and make a film with you." From this came the suggestion to make the film Stromboli together. As they pitched the movie to producers and secured financing, their relationship grew. They then traveled together throughout Italy prior to shooting, much to the dismay of Bergman's husband, Peter Lindstrom. According to the biography, as time goes by, while shooting the film, Rosolini seemed open to creating a scandal, happy to be photographed holding hands with the beautiful actor, and even giving the press inside knowledge of Bergman's broken marriage. Before Stromboli was finished shooting, Bergman was pregnant with Rosolini's child, and the truth of the affair was all over the American airwaves. According to the Daily Mail, she was ostracized from the American film industry and denounced as evil. She wouldn't return to favor for more than 7 years. After winning her second Academy Award in 1957 for Anastasia, she famously said, "I've gone from saint to whore and back to saint again, all in one lifetime." Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Before their marriage became legendary, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman's affair started with a shocking twist. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were once one of Hollywood's biggest couples. What's gotten lost in legend is that they fell in love on the set of Days of Thunder, when Tom was still married to Mimi Rogers. The two split ahead of the film's release in early 1990. Tom and Nicole were together until 2001. Carrie Fischer and multiple famous singers. Carrie Fischer wasn't just the princess of a galaxy far, far away. She had her own secrets that included iconic rock stars. The moment she was unveiled in her Princess Leia fineries, Carrie Fischer became a fantasy of millions. Among them were many contemporaries in her own artistic league who fancied her as well. One such heavy hitter was rock legend Freddie Mercury. If you're racking your brains to fish out, see what we did there? A picture of Fischer and Mercury in a romantic embrace, don't strain your memory. Their affair was a surprise revelation made after Fischer's death in 2016. By way of a biography, Carrie Fischer and Debbie Reynolds, Princess Leia, and unsinkable Tammy in Hell. Fischer was introduced to him through her mother, Debbie Reynolds, who took her teen daughter to a star-studded party hosted by Mick Jagger in the 1970s, the book claimed. It was there that Mercury struck up a friendship with Fischer. Though the Star Wars actor was initially hesitant about engaging with the Queen vocalist, who was then married to Mary Austin, she was soon enamored of the stage icon. The book gets into scandalous detail, even going on to claim that Fischer explored an affair with another famous queer icon she met at Jagger's party, David Bowie. Though Fischer never addressed these supposed liaisons during her lifetime, she did leave fans with a long-hidden and long-hoped-for secret. She and Harrison Ford were an item. It was Han and Leia during the week, and Carrie and Harrison during the weekend, she told People.
In Star Wars, you and Harrison Ford had an affair.
That's no.
Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. The silver screen romance of Bogart and Bacall wasn't just for the cameras. It became one of Hollywood's greatest love stories. A very married Bogart met Lauren Bacall while filming To Have and Have Not in the 1940s. He was 44. She was only 19. He nicknamed her Baby, and an affair quickly developed. Director Howard Hawks had feelings for Bacall too. He disapproved of the relationship, telling Bacall that Bogey was just toying with her. The Bogart and Bacall relationship carried out over the next few films they did together, and they eventually married. Lindsay Lohan and Heath Ledger. Before tragedy struck, Lindsay Lohan and Heath Ledger shared a secret connection that came to light only after their passing. January 28, 2008 was a tragic day in Hollywood. Actor extraordinaire Heath Ledger was found dead of an accidental drug overdose in New York City. It was a sudden, seismic shock that rattled fans across the world and also brought forth some unheard of details about Ledger's life. His long-term relationship with actor Michelle Williams, with whom he also shared a daughter, had come to an end only a few months before he died. After their breakup, the status of Ledger's romantic life was in the shadows. Until it wasn't. Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton. Angelina Jolie's relationship with Billy Bob Thornton started in the most unexpected way, leaving his girlfriend shocked and heartbroken. After Billy Bob Thornton won the Golden Globe for his work in Goliath, Twitter went wild commenting on what appeared to be an awkward moment between the actor and Laura Dern. Now, it may have been nothing more than one actor walking behind another, but the history between these two is hard to ignore. Between 1997 and 1999, Dern and Thornton were an item. In a Men's Journal piece from May 1999 via Angelina, an unauthorized biography, Thornton said, "I'm now happily involved with someone who's my best friend." The following month, in an interview with Us Weekly, however, things had changed. "I want her to be happy," Thornton said of Dern, "but it was over. That's all." So what happened? Well, apparently, Angelina Jolie happened. Thornton and Jolie worked together on Pushing Tin in 1999. At some point along the way, the two kindled a relationship together. By 2000, they were married. For Dern, it may have been a bit too sudden to be a coincidence. Speaking to Talk Magazine via Us Weekly, Dern said, "I left our home to work on a movie, and while I was away, my boyfriend got married, and I've never heard from him again," she said. "It's like a sudden death. For no one has there been any closure or clarity." Antonio Banderas and Melanie Griffith. Their chemistry on screen led to one of Hollywood's hottest romances, but Antonio Banderas and Melanie Griffith's love story was far from ordinary. Antonio Banderas and Melanie Griffith were both married when they were cast in the 1995 rom-com Too Much. The heart wants what it wants, however, and they married in 1996 as soon as their respective divorces were finalized. Brigitte Bardot and Jean-Louis Trintignant. Brigitte Bardot's life was filled with passionate affairs, but her romance with Jean-Louis Trintignant ended 2 marriages. Brigitte Bardot began an affair with And God Created Woman co-star Jean-Louis Trintignant in 1956, contributing to the dissolution of her marriage to Roger Vadim. Jean-Louis was also married at the time to actress Stéphanie Audran, but the latter divorced him later that year. The actors lived together for 2 years, but it didn't last, especially due to Brigitte beginning another affair with musician Gilbert Bécaud. She and Jean-Louis broke things off in 1958, which led to a brief slump for the actress. Jennifer Aniston and Justin Theroux. Before they were Hollywood's favorite couple, Jennifer Aniston and Justin Theroux's relationship was steeped in scandal. Justin Theroux was in the midst of a 14-year-long relationship with Heidi Bivens when he began working on Wanderlust with Jennifer Aniston. The two had known each other through mutual friends, but had no idea how drawn to each other they'd be. The two started dating months after his split with Heidi. Jennifer and Justin dated until 2015, when they tied the knot. Then they broke up in late 2017. Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston. This secret romance between two of music's biggest icons was revealed only after their tragic deaths. The coming together of two stars as famous as Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson would have been quite something. While the artists never teamed up for a duet that would have doubtless reached chart-topping successes, Houston and Jackson did quietly indulge in a romance behind the scenes during the 1990s. For two of America's biggest actors to cross paths at the same time was only inevitable. What wasn't common knowledge was that they shared something more than a friendship. The supposed affair came to light after Houston's death in 2012 and after Jackson's death in 2009, when the latter's bodyguard approached the press with some unheard-of celebrity gossip. Whitney practically moved into Michael's ranch, and they had a fling like any other young couple, Matt Fitties told The Sun via Today. Fitties further claimed that the Thriller hitmaker was even keen on marrying Houston. And apparently, the reverse was true as well. Close to both singers, producer David Guest revealed that Houston and Jackson reciprocated a desire to be married, but Jackson was too shy to pop the question, per the Indian Express. Interestingly, Houston's death also brought forth an alleged year-long secret affair she had with Jackson's older brother Jermaine Jackson in the 1980s. He was married at the time, which was reported as a reason for their split.
We'll always love you.
Meg Ryan and Russell Crowe. Meg Ryan's image as America's sweetheart took a hit when she got caught up in a tabloid scandal with Russell Crowe. When the tabloids spotted Meg Ryan and Russell Crowe holding hands during the time they were filming Proof of Life together, it created an enormous scandal. Beside the fact that both actors were huge stars at the time, Ryan was still married to Dennis Quaid. Before the film was released, the two stars tried to avoid prying eyes, but the rumor mill forged on. According to the New York Post, they confirmed their relationship in July of 2000. But Ryan insists that her failed marriage to Quaid wasn't because of Crowe or the scandal. It dissolved before it became a sport for the press, she said in a W Magazine interview via E! News. The public and the press tuned in way after. But they didn't stop people from talking. There were questions about Ryan's public image. Would her America's sweetheart shine wear off because of this? Even she had to question her status in the public eye. I found myself in a hotel lobby in London a few months ago, she said to W Magazine, thinking, all of a sudden, so this is what it feels like to be the Scarlet Woman. Oh, I'm having that experience now. Feeling incapable of beginning another long-term relationship, Ryan ended things with Crowe not long after. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Hollywood's hottest couple started their love story with a scandal that no one could ignore. Never was there a more famous co-star hookup than that of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie on the set of the super sexy Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Their steamy hookup led to the end of his marriage with Jennifer Aniston and marked the beginning of a new and intense relationship in the actor's life. Ali MacGraw and Steve McQueen. Ali MacGraw left everything behind for her affair with Steve McQueen, but their love story was anything but a fairy tale. Steve McQueen was one of the biggest names in Hollywood in the early 1970s, and Ali MacGraw was on her way to joining that group for her acting. Though her name would be uttered far and wide, it wasn't necessarily only for her work on screen, as much as it was for stuff going on off of it. In 1972, shortly after being cast in The Getaway alongside McQueen, MacGraw and the action hero started a relationship that wore out the ink on tabloids across the country. MacGraw was a rising star who had recently married producer Robert Evans. McQueen was Hollywood's iconic bad boy. But in spite of MacGraw's nuptials, according to Vanity Fair, theirs was one of the great love affairs of the past century. It was very, very passionate and dramatic and hurtful and ecstatic, MacGraw told the publication. It was pretty much a wipeout for both of us. But I think it's safe to say that it would have been impossible not to fall in love with Steve. After the film, MacGraw divorced Evans, married McQueen, and left her career to be with him, according to Vanity Fair. It wasn't until after their 1977 divorce that MacGraw returned to the big screen with the 1978 film Convoy. Humphrey Bogart and his hairdresser. Even Hollywood legends like Humphrey Bogart had secrets, including a forbidden love affair with his hairdresser. Of all the salons and all the towns in all the world, he walked into hers. Well, kinda. Verita Thompson worked as a hairdresser in and around Hollywood during the early 1940s, when her path first crossed with one of cinema's most formidable legends, Humphrey Bogart. Casablanca was yet to be released when Bogart, who had already secured his place as an American noir icon, locked eyes with Thompson at a party. He was then on his third notoriously volatile marriage to actor Mayo Methot. Thompson was a married woman too, but sparks flew. Bogey didn't like to dance, but honey, we danced the night away, and from that day on we were lovers, Thompson told the press 4 decades after Bogart's death in 1957, The Guardian reported. Thompson revealed the affair in a tell-all book, Bogey and Me, a love story, in 1982. He always said we'd make a perfect couple because we were so much alike, she said, via The Independent. Bogart and Thompson's association stretched until 1955, going steady even in the backdrop of Bogart's celebrated high-profile marriage to Lauren Bacall. Given the tightly wound industry norms at the time, Bogart and Thompson's secret love didn't make front-page headlines, but wasn't the best news for the iconic Bogart-Bacall union. Thompson was, in her own words, Bacall's worst nightmare. She died in 2008, having become an inseparable part of Bogart's legacy.
Say, pardon me, but could you help out a fellow American who's down on his luck?
Colin Farrell and Elizabeth Taylor. Colin Farrell and Elizabeth Taylor shared a unique bond that surprised many, spanning generations and breaking conventions. When one hears the name Elizabeth Taylor, the mind immediately flashes back to the golden era of Hollywood, when her status as one of the biggest stars of the century defined a whole new era of acting glam. Her iconic pairings with leading men of the time, including Paul Newman, James Dean, Richard Burton, and Montgomery Clift, placed her in handsome company. But it was in a much younger pool of men that romance waited for her, in the form of Colin Farrell. Yep, the Irish actor, who had been scoring big global acclaim of late with the Banshees of Inisherin, was apparently involved with the legendary Taylor. Divided by a whole generation, the pair unconventionally crossed paths in a hospital and sent flowers to each other, kindling a friendship that struck through the final years of Taylor's life until her death in 2011. It feels like, in my head, not her I'm projecting, but the last kind of romantic relationship I had, which was never consummated, Farrell said, first making the bombshell revelation on Ellen DeGeneres' show in 2013 via YouTube. Though Farrell was married during the time that they connected, he admitted having rather profound feelings for Taylor. Since her death, Farrell has been associated with the late actor's namesake AIDS Foundation and, as quoted by the Hollywood Reporter, spoken keenly about keeping her message and the importance of her mission alive. Grace Kelly and Gary Cooper. Grace Kelly's reputation as a Hollywood saint was shattered by her affair with co-star Gary Cooper on the set of High Noon. Grace Kelly snagged her first major film role in 1952's High Noon. During filming, she had her first major affair with a co-star. On the set of High Noon, Kelly had an affair with Gary Cooper, who was married and 28 years her senior. This, his marriage, and their age difference would become an ongoing theme in Kelly's affairs. Of Kelly, Cooper said, "She looked like a cold dish with a man until you got her pants down. Then she'd explode." Grace Kelly and Clark Gable. Grace Kelly's love life didn't stop at Gary Cooper. She also found herself entangled with Clark Gable during a shoot in Africa. In 1953, Kelly starred in Mogambo alongside Ava Gardner and Clark Gable. It seemed an affair between Kelly and Gable may have been destined from the start. As Kelly said, "Mogambo had three things that interested me: John Ford, Clark Gable, and a trip to Africa with expenses paid. If Mogambo had been made in Arizona, I wouldn't have done it." When Kelly and Gable finally did get hot and heavy, news of the affair reached Kelly's mother, who flew out to chaperone her young daughter in Africa. A chaperone may have been unnecessary, as Gable supposedly ditched Kelly once she grew too clingy. When later asked about the affair, Kelly famously said, "What else is there to do if you're alone in a tent in Africa with Clark Gable?" Sophia Loren and Cary Grant. Sophia Loren's love for Cary Grant was real, but her duty to another man ultimately won her heart. What defense do mortals like ourselves have against the charms of Cary Grant, when even a beauty queen like Sophia Loren couldn't resist? In a secret divulged almost 3 decades after Grant's death, Loren harked back to the 1950s, when she had a whirlwind romance with her famous co-star from The Pride and the Passion. The film was a Hollywood milestone for Loren, who had so far only enamored audiences on her Italian home base and was debuting opposite one of America's biggest stars. He looked as though he just stepped down from the screen, a dream come true, Loren recalled of her first encounter with Grant, per the Daily Mail. Grant, 30 years her senior, soon asked her out to dinner. At the time, Loren was on the cusp of marrying her partner, the Italian film producer Carlo Ponti. Grant himself was on his third marriage to Betsy Drake, but his on-set romance with Loren was so fiery that he was dreaming of a life together. "If you think and pray with me for the same thing and purpose, all will be right and life will be good," Grant wrote to Loren in a letter made public in her memoir via The Guardian. Curtains dropped on their passion-charged fantasies when Ponti's lawyers arranged his marriage to Loren by proxy in 1957. Loren later told the Sydney Morning Herald that not long before he died, Grant called her one last time to say goodbye. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride through Hollywood's secret scandals. If you loved uncovering these hidden tales, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. Check out our other videos for even more juicy stories. You won't want to miss them.